Welcome back to our Coffee Connect with Carlos and Chantel and the Kaufmans. Coffee with the Kaufmans now.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, look, we got the cup that says
Connect.
connect. So cute.
Well, so we're here in Seminole.
What are we talking about this morning, guys?
Dreams.
Dreams and mind.
It's my favorite part and my favorite lesson in feldspar.
Why is it?
Because the one I need to work on the most.
So interesting. So our dreams stimulate our mind, and then in return, our mind stimulates our dreams, and it's like a really cool cycle that gets us going.
You know, I had to think of how some people that are naturally inclined to adventure. You know, that's their strength and weakness at the same time is to constantly be going on the next adventure. Then they're not getting anything done.
Yeah.
You know, they can't. The business kind of goes in spurts, and then they get bored and they got to go on another adventure again, and the business flounders. And for me, it's the opposite. My default easy is to just get into a boring routine rhythm, and then in the process I stop dreaming and doing anything fun, because for me it's my easy default, or easy for me is to just do it without thinking.
Yeah.
I can go to the beach without thinking too.
But here's the kicker. I don't actually enjoy that. I don't actually like boring routine stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Programmed.
I'm just programmed that way. My upbringing, you know, being Amish, that's all. It's like I'm going crazy inside, but it's my default easy. Weird. Have to pick that one apart.
It's a comfort, like we
It's my
create
comfort zone.
we create our
Yeah.
comfort zone, right?
True.
Well, where we create
Got trained into it.
the habit, if you will. Not necessarily like, I mean, you know, I can go back to, for me, right, having to work at age 15 and, you know, creating the belief that I could be a single mom, so I created that, right? And then so, you know, my default is work as well, but for a different reason, right? It was survival. Like if I wanted anything, I had to work for it and work hard for it. And, you know, so I wasn't necessarily programmed that way. It was
Necessity.
a necessity. Right?
And that's what you believe too, which is what you receive. You believe and then you received it. That's what you achieve too. It's all connected. It's crazy.
I think one of the biggest things that I find sparking in me when I am around you guys in the flesh, it's got to be in person for me to have that same element that's to feel, is to start dreaming again. I just, it just naturally bubbles up.
Les Brown.
Bubble
It's
butt.
possible. You guys know Les Brown?
I know of.
Yes.
I think I've
He's a-
seen him a few times on video.
I tell you, he tells the story if he was educationally retarded, or what did he say? He said something like that. He and his brother were labeled as, like, I'm not saying it right, but educationally retarded or something like that, and educationally something like that. But anyways, point being is like, he didn't know what was possible, that he would actually become a speaker, that he would become a writer, written books. And it's interesting because again, what our mind limits us, and he said the turning point for him was actually a teacher that told him, don't you ever let anybody ever speak that over you again. You are brilliant, you're intelligent, and you can have it. It's possible. You can have whatever you want. And it's so crazy because I've been listening to a compilation of speakers, and his stands out to me all the time, every time I hear him speak. And
What was Les Brown's forte?
I would say that just the mind. He overcame the mind. I mean, to literally be labeled that way, that's like medically.
What was his his topic, his strength, as far as his topic area of expertise?
Again, I think it's just overcoming his mind. Like he
Well,
was born, he was
He started as a disc jockey,
right.
so speaking on the
Speaking,
radio.
yep, and even that, it's so funny because that only
Exactly what I
happened.
mean.
Yeah, like what?
How did he get
Where
into
did
the
he do?
speaker?
How did you get, so yeah, he always had, in high school, he spoke, he was in theater and he spoke and like that kind of, he wanted to do that. He knew he wanted to, but everybody told him you can't do that. Like you can't even talk, right?
Mm.
How can you do that? So it was interesting because even in theater, like there's so many cool stories that he tells about how he froze on stage. He'd been practicing his lines and froze, and then got embarrassed, ran off the stage, and then the teacher, instead of saying, "Are you okay?" was kind of like, "Get back out there and do it. I believe in you can
That's
do
good.
this." And he made him go back out and do it, even though he ran off the stage, right, and embarrassed himself because he forgot his lines.
Mhm.
Well, it's just like that, overcoming. But it started out rough for him because he was born in a warehouse. Him and his twin brother were born on, and then he was adopted, and like all these things that happened to him, right? To convince him that he was nothing, worthless.
Yeah.
So he had to overcome all that. But it's a crazy
I
journey,
would
even
say
into
his
his
strengths are
adulthood.
his relentless
Mhm.
mentality, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so even going into the professional world, like he worked at a radio station, and he's so like
Right.
he did everything. Like when you think about the hands and feet, he did everything he could possibly do to stand out, and you know, it was kind of like by a fluke that he got put on the air. And
Oh
then-
yeah, he wanted to be a disc jockey because he knew that would help him to speak, right? And so he literally went there and volunteered.
Well,
He kept going back, and they told him, "We don't have a job here for you," and he kept coming back.
Was he the one that got a coffee for?
That's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh.
And then he's like, and then they told him to, drive and go pick up these famous people from the airport and stuff. And he's like, he just followed directions. He goes, "I didn't have a license, but I drove like I had one."
And then
Right.
the
Yeah.
DJ that was scheduled somehow wasn't
That's
able
right.
to or didn't show up,
Yeah.
and he
He
filled
was
in.
drunk. Yep. He goes,
And he
"Drink, rock, drink." Right.
And he crushed.
The guy was too drunk to speak, and the owner calls and says, "Get him off the air." And then he's like, he did it. He's like, "Here's my opportunity." He took it. I think that's always the case with Les Brown. He teaches on mindset, really, to help you overcome your mind and limitations, but he also then teaches you to take advantage of every opportunity.
Yes.
It's possible, so go after it. And he says, if you get knocked down, he's got tons of stuff, but if you get knocked down, he says, make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Right? And he's just awesome that way, because he's like, you can get up and you can keep going. He's like, the only way you lose is if you quit. Like that's his thing. And he would never quit. He was sleeping even as an adult. This is a recent one. That's why the story's so fresh. I've been listening to his speeches. And he says, it's possible. But he said, it was embarrassing when I was sleeping on the floor of my office. And then I would go speak and tell people it's possible, and you can be successful, and you can, have your own business and be successful. And he says, and I couldn't even afford a home. I could only afford the rent of my office space, sleeping on the floor. And that security pulled him aside one day when he was coming in and said, "Hey, you can't be sleeping on the floor in your office. You can't live here." And he's like, "I'm not living here. I just work late hours. And I'm not going to stay here. This is just a temporary thing. I'm low down on my luck right now, but it's not going to be forever." And that he could feel people laughing at him and tell, there's that guy that washes his suits. He doesn't even, get them dry cleaned. He washes them in the washing machine and sleeps on the floor like everyone's talking about it. But he said it was possible. He knew he had to keep going. He had to keep going. He had to keep going. Keep going. So I say all that because, even the mind and dreams, today we were talking about that. When we cannot believe, we have to borrow someone else's belief.
That's good.
We have to convince our mind.
Yeah, I like what he talks about, putting yourself in the environment where you learn and you grow and you want to be there, so find a way to be in that environment and get yourself motivated by that. That was amazing. Yeah, I remember I had a season where I was just eating it up, you know, all of these things, and he's incredible.
He is. He's a great speaker and a great testimony of what's possible, no matter what you're. I mean, Vulichik is another one that I love because nobody's got an excuse. If that man can live as a Wojcik or whatever you say.
That Russian.
Is that Russian?
That Russian.
No, I think he's Polish.
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 He's the guy with the little flapper feet,
Yeah.
no arms.
No arms and legs.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, we sometimes stop where someone said something or where we are, we don't look further, right? So that's, I remember, gosh, I don't know who it was, but he was saying that he couldn't get a loan. And after 30 or 50 something tries, finally got approved by who knows, like random, and finally got a loan because he needed for a business or something.
Right.
And that's, you know, like we stop too soon, or we don't even go to find out. You know, so, and it's surrounding yourself with people who can help us dream and show us different things, or even knocking on, you know, different doors and asking, how can I do this? What do I need to do to get there? Who knows? Who's gonna tell me? Who can share? YouTube nowadays, you can go and learn everything on YouTube. So many people will tell you even what kind of loans you can get, grants or whatever, you know, what do you need to do to build a house or make shoes or
Right.
that's,
You can find anything to everything you need to now. And I think then that even poses another problem. There's so many notifications and so many things to choose from. Right. And then we go like,
Yeah, it's
deer
like
in headlights.
when you go to the grocery store and you're trying to get some mustard and there's
10 different options.
more than 10 different
There's
options.
more.
Different options. You're like, that is a challenge for me when I'm like, I will stand in an aisle and I'm like,
I just want a simple mustard.
You got non-GMO, you got organic, you got.
and then you start
10
reading
different flavors.
labels and it's like, oh my gosh, you can spend a lot of time just making a decision. Whereas if there's 3 options,
Yeah.
it's a quick decision.
Or one option.
Right.
Yeah. So
Mustard
like
seed.
such wisdom. You know, you go to some place and you look at that menu and it's like 3, 4, 5 pages long. And you're like, I don't know what I want. But when you go to like a chicken tender place, guess what? I'm getting chicken tenders and maybe a salad.
In and out.
Yeah,
a
burger. I'm
burger.
just getting a burger,
Yeah.
and they do well. Like you know what you're getting when you go there.
Mhm.
It's not a lot of options. It's simple. It's easy and helps you make decisions. And I think that
Yeah.
that's even again going back to.
What do you want, right?
But even that. But what I'm saying is like you said, there's so much online. What do you plug into? What is going to help you the most? How do you determine what's going to help you the most when there's so much? And you can get, I speak from experience myself. I get caught up in listening to 20 different things about the same topic, going like, okay, which one's the best? Can I decipher all this information? And then I don't take action. I'm in the information overload. And then I'm like, I listen to all this stuff and then I haven't done anything.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I mean, who has the power over that? We do.
Yeah.
Like, we have to be responsible for what we're putting in front of ourselves, even like knowing that we do. Like, if I know that I get stuck in option overload, if I am going specifically to look for something, who is responsible for holding me accountable to looking at that thing and not getting squirreled by a whole nother thing? I think so, you know, recognizing that we're the only ones who are responsible for that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, otherwise, I mean, it's awareness, right? Awareness is the key. If we know that this is a weakness,
Yeah.
if we know that's a tendency and we're really wanting to be focused and diligent with our time and where we're spending, where we're
Yeah.
putting our energy,
Mm-hmm.
what we're looking for,
Yeah.
then be diligent with it.
Yeah.
Be focused,
Mhm, that's
right?
good. You know, I was just thinking about like what you said about master. You know, just recently I wanted to make my own shoes. And I went online on YouTube and watched how to make shoes at home.
Well,
Okay, well, I watched multiple videos until I stopped and I was like, wait a minute. They have tools that are specifically you make things yourself. I was like, okay, so do it yourself is not just that.
no.
You need to even specify, okay, how to make shoes at home with no tools. You know, or something like that, or what do I need to get, or
That's true.
if you wanna just do with what you have, or do you
more
want to go
specific
for
on what you
more
want.
specific?
Yeah, the
So
questions are important.
Yeah, and so what I'm learning is that same thing, if I go to the store and I have a list, if I don't have a list, what I need to buy. Oh, I'm coming out with more things or I forget something. And then the like mustard, I go there, I'm like, okay, I want simple, I know that I want organic, I want clean ingredients, and maybe 2 or 3 ingredients, whatever is possible. So that's my focus. I don't go and oh this would be fun. Oh, I should. Sometimes I do. I'm like, you know what? Jesse likes mustard. I know he likes it a little bit hotter, maybe. So yeah, let me get one with horseradish this time and see if he likes it.
Yeah.
But still stick to what I believe and know and what I
Oh,
want.
I know what good like.
So that's, you know, that's kind of what I'm sticking to. But it took a long time to learn that and grow in it, knowing the food specifically that I want.
The hottest mustard I ever tasted was at a Ukrainian, was it Ukrainian restaurant? The owner brought out this hot mustard that he's experimenting with, and he gave me a small canister of it
Oh my.
for free to sample and give him some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this special pepper in Ukraine that they put in,
Mustard.
and it was no normal.
It's mustard.
It was no normal pepper, but it was so hot that my mouth felt burnt for 3 days. And it was the burn that you would feel if you've ever eaten raw garlic bulb, where it burnt the inside of your mouth to the point of it feeling sore and burnt for a few days after. That's how it felt. And I don't know what he put in it, but my mouth was
There's a
insane.
German mustard that's nice and hot too.
That was extreme. I don't want it that, I mean, it was good, but.
Yeah, so the other thing that I had, you know, we have all these books here. And
That used to be my internet when I was on.
yeah. So, you know, a lot of times, like, and you, Carlos, mentioned that I was talking about it, we get into the learning mode and we get all the excited and we have all these beautiful dreams now, but if we don't take any action towards it, then we freeze, right? We sit there and because it's overload.
Yeah.
And who said it just the other day, we were talking and they said, just learn one step at a time.
Yeah.
Don't make things like, oh, I have to make it perfect the first time I do it. No, you will never start doing it. And, it was about us learning about High Shabbat, you know, doing a Passover, and some people say, oh, Passover is 8 days. Like, no, it's only 1 day. The rest is unleavened bread feast.
There's like three feasts, bang, bang, bang.
And then High Shabbat, when is the High Shabbat first one? When is the second one? Different opinions, different calendars. You know, and finally I was like, you know what? We don't have to go into it anymore. I'm done. I studied enough. We're gonna do this right now. And then the next round comes next year, we come closer to it. Let's make a decision ahead of time so we can prepare. So taking action on it.
Yeah, and I think it's like, you know, for instance, fishing, right?
Yes.
So I wanna go fishing and then I get stuck and not going fishing because I don't have all the right stuff. Well, just go
Mhm,
fishing.
mhm.
Just take something and you learn through that
Yeah,
experience, right? I mean, let's get focused. Let's
Yeah.
get focused on what the dream is
yes.
and ask the right questions. And I think that's, we talk about asking questions, right, for connection and we get, how do we gain more understanding in our connection with other human beings has to do with what kind of questions we ask. How specific are our questions, right? If we're just asking random questions that don't lead us to what we're trying to get out of somebody, then we just have a whole lot of questions that are useless.
Yeah,
But if we get specific and then we are able to discover what it is we're intentionally wanting to discover from them, then we get the connection that we want, right?
that's so good. And that's what I love, the fast track to marriage,
Mhm.
structure that we have, because it builds up one
Mhm.
on the next and the next.
Yeah.
The next tool adds to the previous one, and it focuses on uncovering that,
Mhm.
relationship and going deeper and deeper. And that's I know a lot of people don't know to ask those questions,
Yeah.
or don't even know questions to ask about certain topics, or it's not comfortable to go there,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, you brought up a great point there on that.
Yeah.
That's good.
So dreams.
Yeah.
What dreams are you going after?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is the balance of all these things. It's interesting, because even the eagle and lion, one's the master of action, one's the master of dreaming
Mhm.
and vision, and one's the master of consistency and commitment and faithfulness, right? But it takes all three. We can totally get caught
It
up
takes
in
all
them.
three to get to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
To achieve it.
accomplishing
results, yeah.
things that you want.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're going through a forest, I like to use this analogy. When you're going through a forest, right? You have to have the courage of the lion
Mhm.
to go into a scary, dark place,
Mhm.
right? You have to have the persistency of the ox to trudge through, probably the shrubs, the thorns, all of the things, right? And then you have to have the eagle to see the vision beyond the forest.
Mhm.
So good.
So when we get through the forest without all of them, probably not.
It won't be as efficient for sure. It won't be as quick. I
Yeah.
mean, you probably could, but again, when you have all three combined, that's
Well, I
what
mean,
power
I
is.
think, for me, the vision that I have is then, we're just left with the human who sits there and goes, okay, so which way will I go? Can I go this way? Can I analyze every,
Mhm.
every way without, just, let's go,
Mhm.
without the action, without the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, light a fire.
So what would be a good one takeaway for today from dream and mind? Is that like, using those four phases? What would be a great, like, okay, this is what
Well, mine,
simple.
for me,
Yes.
I create what I want.
Yeah. How?
Well, creation is action,
Yeah.
right?
So you need to have a dream to know what you
Yeah.
want, right?
Sure.
Obviously.
And then
And then
specific, you said that.
is taking action, because you have to create it.
Right,
And then
But I
there's
do like the
clearance.
vision, what you said first. I think step one is like you said, the vision,
right.
but you gotta be specific with it, like,
Yeah.
because there's so many options out there.
I recognize also that researching and learning about something is also part of the process of creating the vision.
And finding out what you
Like,
need.
even to give you a visual of what could be possible.
That's right.
You know,
Agreed.
like discovering options can be a part of the process of creating the vision.
Yeah, so like this morning we were talking about tiny homes.
Mm-hmm.
What did I ask you? Because you said that you've been looking at different designs and whatnot. I said, do you have any saved?
Oh, right, yeah,
right? So creating a visual also,
right, that's good. You know, I'm glad you brought that up. I think I actually need to design it and
mhm,
It's good.
draw it so
Mhm.
that it's developing. And I used to do that.
Vision.
Yeah.
Back in the days, I remember,
Right.
you know, as coming from the architectural designer background, I would doodle a lot.
Right.
Well, shoot,
And
you
then-
make yourself blueprint of your own time.
exactly,
Yes, of course.
exactly.
So, and then, you know, I would put together what I see in my mind.
Mhm.
And then I would have to rearrange things because what I see here might not be
Makes sense on
working,
paper.
yeah, on paper and layout and how things are connecting. And then even further, you know, first you have the visual, like we used to call it like a bubble diagram, right? You
Mhm.
have bubbles, then you shape them. Then you start putting in like, okay, a kitchen has specific dimensions for cabinets and
Mhm.
sink and refrigerator and a stove. So now we're gonna start expanding or shrinking it because, okay, if I want that many cabinets, there's specific dimensions for it.
Right.
And then the bathroom, then the bedroom has become a little bit more flexible because you can actually play with that, right? The living room. So it's really interesting, like you don't think about that when we get people like clients come and say, oh, I want all of this and we need to fit it in this square footage.
Well, we knew that from mom and dad's.
Yeah, right? And then we present them a design and they're like, well, oh, bedroom is so tiny, I want it bigger. Well, we actually need to expand our square footage then. Can
Mhm.
you do that?
Yeah.
You know, and go into the pricing of everything.
Right.
So it's not just the details of what's going in there. So it's constantly expanding it and then doing more specific things.
Mhm.
Can we take out one cabinet to let your kitchen looks better and flow better?
Mhm.
Or add something, you know, certain details. So yeah, it's amazing. I love that.
So yeah, if you start with the questions, the teachable, coachable, humble human will ask questions. So you look into it, find out what you want, get specific. Then you take the eagle, the vision of the eagle to create that vision.
Yeah.
What's it look like? The details.
You know, just remember too, when we were doing designs, I never give my clients more than 2 options.
Yep.
Otherwise they get overwhelmed.
Yep.
And then we're gonna be going in
Circles.
and
Mhm.
cycles for a long time and then it's not gonna move forward.
Right.
So I would give them 2 options and both options work really well and I present them like a lot of things already so they see the vision.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So how do the 4 flow into each other for bringing something to fruition?
Well, that's what I was saying. So the face of man is the teachable, coachable human that asks questions and seeks answers. Doesn't just it has to seek it. It has to ask questions. So part of that is seeking and asking questions. You can look on YouTube.
Mhm.
You can, but it's better questions, like you said, more specific of what you want. And then as you discover that, you get a vision of it. Then the eagle comes in and helps you create that vision. The mindset of the eagle is to create the vision and create what it would look like and the bigger picture. And then it goes into the action. You got to take action on it. Like you can't just camp on it. And that's what happens a lot of times. We get stuck in one place. The man's asking questions, we keep asking
So the
questions.
lion would kickstart the action.
Definitely.
And
I
get some
mean,
oxygen
and I
to
think
go.
that it's even okay. The lion's like, okay, what's the next step? And putting deadlines. The lion lights a fire under you and puts a deadline versus, well, you want to explore all these things. You got 24 hours to figure out what tiny home you want. And you get to watch all the videos you can for 24 hours. And then the next step is then we're going to the eagle. And the eagle is gonna put things on paper and they've got, okay, we're gonna give them a week to kind of create the vision and then present it. Right. And then the next thing is now we got to take action on this. So the line really comes in. Now we got a week and then we're going to start action, which is we're gonna go put this thing together. We're gonna start figuring out how we can make this happen.
Mhm.
What's the plan? Action to action, action to get this done.
Where does
Not
the-
just,
where does the ox come in?
good question.
To fulfill it.
This sucks. I want to quit. That's right. He's the closer. He's the one, because the fire of the lion will fizzle out, but the ox is
And
just
the
like,
excitement fizzles
That's
out
right.
when there's.
and the ox is like, well,
You know, especially
Gotta
when
keep
you're
going.
digging like
there we
the
go.
dirt to create a house, a foundation
Just
for
keep
the
plowing.
house.
Just keep plowing. There is an end in
Get
sight.
to the roots and this and that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because if I look back to, you know, what we have now as our property, it started with the light of the fire
Mhm.
inside my spirit, right? Of, okay, I want this land.
Mhm.
And then I drew it out. I wasn't an architect, but I just drew it in a notebook
Sure did.
Mhm.
like this,
In the
you
back
know,
of
2
it.
pages.
Just drew it, yeah.
That's
This-
amazing.
I
I'll
drew
take care
it.
of
And then I had to wait
Mhm.
Be patient.
How
That's an
long
ox.
did you had to wait?
2 years
Hmm?
Why?
so that he could make it his idea.
Mhm.
He was like, yes, land. I want land too. It doesn't have to be in Georgia. So then we kind of, you know,
Mhm.
I knew that it would come.
Mhm.
And that's the wisdom of even a couple and working together as a team. Sometimes you have to be patient and wait for them to get on board,
Yeah.
and that's wisdom of a husband and wife as we're yoked together.
Mhm.
You know, because if you force it, then there may be some bitterness and some, well, this is your idea, it's not mine,
Right.
versus, you know, just waiting and having the patience but keeping that vision in front of
That's
me.
the ox,
Mhm.
right? Of
That's right.
Being patient. Mhm. And you know, the other thing is, I love what you said about the marriage. Because nowadays, women sometimes, well, I have this idea, it's a great idea, I'm gonna take action.
Yeah.
I want this, I'm gonna go do it.
mhm,
But then what happens to a husband,
yeah,
right? Then he feels, oh, well, what about me?
yeah.
And I want to help. I'm a problem solver. I'm the man who brings forth, you know, strength and this and
Well, so
that.
then do they feel empowered or do they feel defeated?
Exactly.
Right? Because the
Yeah.
woman's taken over the vision or the dream and then going after it
And-
because she can.
Yeah.
Right? In this day and age, there's so much of that, this yeah,
Mhm.
power.
Powerful, educated, skilled women.
Yeah, which
Awesome.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
just, what is the balance of, you
Yeah.
know, the marriage and how we're feeding and
And there's no doubt for
empowering
years,
each
men
other.
men controlled, and
Right.
men did that. Men were just, well, this is what we're doing, we're going. And again, a woman loves that, but she also wants to be yoked.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be feeling like she's being drugged, being, is that the right word?
Pulled.
Dragged,
Pulled.
being dragged.
Being drugged along behind.
Yeah. So it is fascinating that how important the yoke is to the equalizer
Mhm.
of how God meant for it to be. You know, when he created us in the garden, he didn't create us as, he created us as one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why?
Because we're meant to function as one. I believe that.
Why?
Because there's power in that.
Why?
There's power in working in synchronicity and working together. It's a skill. Why do you think when you hear your
Why was woman created?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of biblical answers to balance, to complement, to
Complete.
bring order, to complete. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of really good
And so they
answers.
can actually create more of
Mhm.
themselves.
So when Eve was taken from Adam's side, is that where the need was created?
Mhm. Well,
Well, I
no,
think
the
there
need
was-
there.
I think the
Oh,
need,
okay.
you know,
Because man was not yet complete.
and I think,
Wasn't that he wasn't good,
Mhm.
it was that he wasn't complete.
and there's a belief too in Judaism, stories of how man and women, when they were connected like that at that level, physically connected, that they weren't facing each other as well. So that even if you
That'll
think
mess
of
with you.
even if you think about the visual of that, so then the separation was beneficial, but then because you could face each other and choose to come back together, facing each other, like even physically, intimately, if you think about that, how powerful that is.
Goes back to free will too.
Choosing to connect and choosing to become one is a whole different level. I'm just one.
Yeah, because if you're just conjoined twins, you have no choice, you have no option,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
However, when you are, then you're choosing the yoke.
On that note.
Fun stories, story time mixed in with.
Thank you for joining us on this conversation.
Yeah, this has been fun, but again, a lot of this is through a lot of things we're talking about, as if you know, some of you don't know if you're watching our YouTube channel. Thanks for being here. It is through our school platform. If you've not heard of it, it is school with a K, school.com. And Epic Your Life is our platform or our specific group. And we have a product called Connection DNA there, which talks about the faces that we said, the 4 faces, talks about the dreams, feldspar. Each day it's 40 sessions in 8 weeks. So just to kind of bring you up to date of what that's all about, but good stuff. And those of you that are watching live from our community, hopefully this will spark some hunger and some questions and some things. And we love them. Ask, seek, knock, and we'd be glad to tell you as much as we have learned where we are. Good stuff, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers. I'm out of coffee or drink anyway. So.
Cheers with our empty cups.
Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.